Hello, everyone. My name is Steven Snyder. I am the Gallery and Communications Coordinator for the West Vancouver Community Arts Council. I will be your host this evening, and joining me as co-host will be Taryn Urquhart from the West Vancouver Memorial Library. And we have two amazing artists that you'll get to hear from, Jackie Wong and Yeonmi Kim, who both have exhibitions up right now here in West Vancouver. But before we get to everything, excuse me, it would be great if we all just take a moment to recognize that the lands on which we gather for arts and culture activities are the unceded and traditional territories of the Coast Salish peoples, in particular, the Squamish people, the Musqueam, and the Tsleil-Waututh people. And as guests, we are so thankful to be on these beautiful lands, able to enjoy them, and able to take inspiration and guidance from our hosts and neighbors. And a little bit of that is kind of what we're going to get into this evening, because some of the artwork is about lands and stewardship, and some of it is also about perception and how we deal with things. So a little bit of background on this evening. This is our first Thursday's Art Walk event of 2022. The First Thursday's Art Walk began 2 years ago. It was an initiative by the Arts Council, and we partnered with other local galleries and institutions, such as the West Vancouver Art Museum and the West Vancouver Memorial Library, to provide an opportunity for West Van residents and anyone who wanted to come to discover their community through visual arts. So we created a self-guided walking tour of local galleries, community spaces, and public art. And it was pretty great. It was awesome. We had exhibitions were open extended periods into the evening, and there were activations and demonstrations and music, and it was really cool. And then last year happened, and we had to move online, which is where we started these art talks, and that was a lot of fun. And a big shout out to Taryn at the library for helping us with that. And so today is the first art walk of 2021. So if you want to learn more about the First Thursday's Art Walks, you can head over to westvanartscouncil.ca, and I'll drop that into the chat, a link for everyone so you can find it there. And that has a list, and it'll be up for about a week or so. So you'll have links to all of the exhibitions we're talking about, so you can find out when they're open and when you can go see them, and all of the health and safety policies that all of the exhibition spaces have in place, so you can plan your visit accordingly. And also on that page there will be tools for discovering local art here in West Vancouver, so you can learn about it and either enjoy it from the comfort of your own home, or do a little walk and try and find it on your own. So we'll have more events happening in June and July. Not July, because that's Canada Day. In June and August on the first Thursday of the month. So keep checking back at the West Van Arts Council.ca for information when those events are popping up. So tonight, all of these amazing artists are gonna talk about their wonderful art that's on right now. So first, let's introduce everyone. So our co-host tonight, Taryn Urquhart, why don't you just give us a little intro about yourself and what you're going to be doing tonight.
Sure, not a whole lot. It's not about me or the library. This is really, thank you for inviting me, first of all, Stephen. This is really a chance for me to do a shameless plug for some of the art in the library at the moment. We have the Teen Art Exhibition. Oh, by the way, I am the Arts and Special Events Programmer here at the library. Hello to all you library cohorts out there. So we have the teen art exhibit on at the moment. Students work from Rockridge and West Van Secondary. We have some mixed media. We have some fabulous portraiture where the students used tea as a pigment. We also have some photography. I know Jackie teaches in the West Van schools, and some of her students are hanging in our gallery. So if you're out and about, stop on in at the library, have a look. They're quite inspirational, and it's just lovely to see art out. And I can't wait to see the silk purse exhibition. It looks fabulous behind you there, Stephen. And I was happy to see Jackie's work the other day. So please get out and see some art. Thank you.
Excellent, great. So we'll move on to our artists and we'll learn a little bit about them. And then after that, we'll get in depth about their exhibitions. So first up, we have a very talented multidisciplinary artist whose work you can kind of see behind me here at the Silk Purse Art Center. And that is Yeonmi Kim. Yeonmi, please tell everyone watching a little bit about you.
I want to say thanks to West Vancouver Art Council for the great opportunity. And I was raised in Seoul, South Korea, and I studied fine art in university. After school, I work as a visual merchandiser in fashion industry and tea house operator, interior designer, and custom wood furniture, custom-made wood furniture studio operator. And in 2013, my husband and I moved to Victoria, Canada, and it was a big turning point in my life. And we started house rentals and produce wood furniture. And I started create art at the same time. And living as an artist was always my dream, but I just couldn't find out how to make ends meet. And I choose living as an artist because I believe art leads me a deepest and richest place that I can reach in my life.
That's excellent. Thank you so much, Yeonmi. And now our next artist is also someone who works in multiple mediums, and she has a great exhibition right now at the West Vancouver Community Arts, at the West Vancouver Art Museum. Jackie Wong. Jackie, tell us a bit about you.
Okay, well, I started off going to art school way back when, really long time ago. 1980 was my first year there, and I've gone through many different areas in art. I went to BCIT. I have a diploma in marketing, so I worked in advertising for a while, and then I went back to school, got my fine arts degree, then went and got my education degree, and I've taught all over the province. My first 2 years of teaching were up in Prince Rupert. I worked very closely with a lot of First Nations communities, which I've kept in close contact with and worked with recently. Then I moved to Vancouver Island, worked in the Comox Valley as a teacher, and then moved to the North Shore. I've been working here for about almost 20 years. In between all that, I've had different occupations. I was a tree planter for 13 years. I've been a commercial fisherman for a few years, and art is always, I never would say I became an artist. I've just been doing art my entire life. My father really instilled in his 3 daughters to continually do art, draw, paint, everything. But I really haven't really taken my own art seriously until probably the last 5 or 6 years. I work in different mediums, as you said, ceramics, photography. That's what I specialize in, teaching photography and painting. And, you know, I'm at the age now where my kids are older and I can really focus on what I want to do. I also really like curating shows. I've curated 4 shows now at the West Vancouver Art Museum, 1 of their permanent collection and 3 with my students and guest artists. So I've worked closely with that museum for a while now. That's me.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, both of you. That was great. It's so amazing to hear the different career paths that you've had that have brought you to this place. Very, very eclectic. And I think that shows in your artwork and your interests. So since we were just talking with Jackie, why don't we start with you to go a little bit more in depth on your amazing exhibition at the West Vancouver Art Museum. It's called The Spaces Between Us, and it's on until May 15th. So Jackie, let's hear about it. And I'll pull up some examples of some. You can either talk about these artworks in particular or about the show in general.
Well, the show in general, I would say, has two different bodies of work. There's three, but one's not significant. But the two different bodies of work is one is of clouds and smoke. And they are images that, well, some of them are clouds that I've just taken from the North Shore and in the interior of British Columbia. And the other ones are snapshots I've taken from the television from my iPhone, which I have turned into more watercolor paintings. So the process is a huge, this one is not one, this is a different one altogether. These are just pictures of clouds that I've inverted to, inverted meaning I have switched the colors to the opposite of what they originally were. That is just to give them a more ethereal kind of look, and us looking at the actual cloud itself more, not the landscape. The other ones I've done is the process is a huge part of my work. So I'll just talk about the process quickly. So I take images, either clouds or disasters. I have the Notre Dame on fire. I have Beirut explosion that happened like a year and a half ago. There's a fire that happened in downtown Los Angeles the day it shut down for COVID. And I take those images and I print them on watercolor paper, not printing paper, like not inkjet paper. And once I've printed them, I immediately spray them with water so the ink all kind of blurs and softens, and then I paint into them. And then I scan them and I print them large, and then I paint more watercolors into them. So it's like a 6-step process. And why I do that is because I would like them to become, they're more paintings than photographs. They're photo based, but they're actually photographs. And the concept behind it is that someone else's tragedy, I find the beauty in, and it's really kind of selfish, I would say, because if someone looks at the Beirut explosion and they're affected by it, that is a tragedy to them. But I've made some kind of aesthetic message with it, finding the, I don't know, the tranquil kind of calmness to it, even though it's an explosion. So that's what the body of work's on the walls. The other ones are orbs, and they're all obstacles. Nope, this one here. They're all things I walk at least 3 times a day around my neighborhood because I have a dog. And these are all things that when I walk, it hits me and I see them, and I think about how often we think they're obstacles. Some of them you'll see there's rocks and boulders and everything else. And the spaces between us is the title because it's the space between us, the tension between us, that I want us to think about, because we think of them as obstacles, but I think of them that maybe we are their obstacles because these orbs and rocks and formations are there forever. I'm not there forever, but they're there forever. So I need to look at them and somewhat respect them for the space that they take up, and think of the negative space that I take up when I'm walking by them. The old saying, stop and smell the roses. Well, you need to stop and look at the nature around you. That's it.
That's amazing. That's great. Thank you, Jackie. That was really insightful. Yeah, there really a lot to think about, especially when you're talking about perceptions and representing things in a new light that you wouldn't have thought to look at it that way, or transforming something that you might perceive as terrible or a tragedy or an obstacle, and finding a different way to look at it that you can maybe make peace with. That's very cool. It's very interesting. Awesome. So Yeonmi, let's talk about your exhibition, Sewstainability, at the Silk Purse Arts Center here until May 30th.
The theme sustainability is inspired by sustainable practice to be aware about plastic pollution, climate change, and our wasteful living habits. And I practice sustainable living more and more. And as a nature lover, the theme appears in my work naturally. And one day, I found out most of our disposable garbage are plastic in our household the waste. And it was mind-blowing to realize that I didn't really think about how much plastic are deeply infiltrated in our life and how much we waste them unconsciously on our daily basis. And since then, I have shown disposable plastic packages in my work. And most of my artwork reproduce Google satellite images, which are affected by climate change, and where are made with a template with large scale print maps, and I transfer them to clear vinyl and find the right piece based on color. As this piece, if you look closely, you can find out the hidden messages which I created with collage word from packages. And next one, screw of fish. Yeah, this one. This screw of fish, I tried to create a 3-dimension by using two different layers, and each layer I have shown group of fish, and when I combine all together, it created interesting depth in 2D. And as you know, we produce tremendous garbage on our daily basis. And we think recycled garbage is a solution, but it's not. Only 9% of plastic are recycled, and only 2% of plastic are recycled effectively in Canada. And the best things what we can do is not to produce garbage as much as we can. And as you know, we live in such a beautiful part of the planet, but it's not our fortune. It means we have a duty to preserve our beautiful nature. And we are just short resident in this planet. And some people might say it's too late, but which is the best time to our wasteful habits?
No, definitely awesome. Yeah, thank you, Yeonmi. That was great. That was very insightful. And sorry, there was a little bit of some audio cut out a little bit. I know you're out in Powell River and your connection is a little on the fritz, but that was really great hearing about you know, how you recycle the plastic that you find, and how that we still have a lot that we can do. You know, it's not the end. There's a lot of work we can do to stop producing so much waste.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Oh, that was great to hear that, you guys. That was awesome. Thank you, both of you, for the insight into your lovely exhibitions, which everyone should go check out when you have the chance. So we'll start off with a few questions that both of you can answer. Feel free to jump in if you have anything you want to add to what the other artist says. So the artwork that we're discussing tonight features sort of unconventional representations of the world around us. So why was it important for you to choose these types of representations over something more conventional to get your message across? So Jackie or Yeonmi, either one of you can jump in and answer that.
Well, I'll talk about my clouds, which are the ones that are explosions. It's because, you know, all of them, as I said, are taken either screenshots or they are off the news with my phone. And first of all, I think that, we see news and it just passes by and we forget about it, after a day or two, right? Any kind of like, say, the Beirut explosion, which was big news at the time. And so I want to capture something. And as I said, I kind of find the beauty, the aesthetic beauty of it, but I guess it records something for us to see and think about. I mean, when you see it in a museum, you don't look at the title, you have no idea what it is. You just see, oh, big red cloud. But then you see the title and it might make you think, wow, like, there's something that we can be reminded of this tragedy, yet we can hold it as an aesthetic piece of art or something, a visual, and not just see, there's no people in any of my photographs, if you've noticed, or any even kind of any sign of people, but they're all man-made things in a way. And another example is if you look at the rocks, I have this rock that's called the Time Capsule. And it is a rock in Queen Elizabeth Park where it's a time capsule is hidden underneath there and gets to be exposed in 2052. It was put there in 1952. So it's a 100-year time capsule. And I love just the idea that, people walk by it, they don't even read the sign, they don't even know that what's under the rock. We just think it's a rock that was left there because it's a park. So it's exposing people, as you said, a different perception of what it really is. And that's what, has brought me to the part of my work.
Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah. Yeonmi, do you have anything to say about why you choose to represent your pieces the way you do?
I like to capture more abstract imagery with line and negative space instead of showing conventional maps. And also I like to engage people to imagine and explore and find out their own answer in my artwork. It's all connectivity through the art. And most of my maps, which I capture, are cities because majority people live in the city and often they disconnected from nature and unlikely to see the effect of climate change, and they produce more garbage and consume more. So I want people to be aware about the issue and engage them, try to change our wasteful habits.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, that's a really interesting way to look at it, to grab people's attention like that. Yeah, with those maps. Yeah, rather than just cities. Yeah, that was great, everyone. So also another question for the two of you, and reminding everyone watching, if you have any questions or comments for these artists, remember to drop it in the Q&A and we will get to that. So many of these pieces in these exhibitions sort of are a bit of a call to action, or a call to for one to question themselves. So why do you choose visual art to communicate these ideas, or to try and to get these questions or calls to action across to viewers? Yeah, Yeonmi, why don't you start?
As an artist, art is my language, and I love communicate with people indirectly through art. And I believe art is reflecting culture and creator of movement. And sometimes it can encourage people to change their habit. And people also experience emotional impact from art. And these experiences stimulate them into positive action. And art can be a tool, and artists can create a weapon or a flower. And I believe art can be more meaningful than being beautiful. And when art has a voice, art can be more powerful, I think.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, no, definitely. I love that art can be a weapon or a flower, and choosing which one to get your message across. That's pretty powerful. Yeah, Jackie, why do you choose visual art to provoke these questions?
You know, okay, I'm gonna be devil's advocate. I don't know if I actually create art to provoke questions. I create art. I don't even say I create art. I wouldn't even say I use that expression that I create art. I would say that I have created art as a result of me wanting to document something. So I think about the times like, so the ones that are in the exhibition are experiences for me. And I guess I want to share those experiences with other people. And not only that, to record something that all of them are fleeting moments. Yeah, I've documented this. So they're, now forever. They're like on a piece of paper so people can see them. There's no call to action in my work that I can think of. That's looking pretty deep into my art. The call to action, if any, would be like just stop and recognize where you sit in this world, and that you have no control of it, because those clouds, they are changing every second. An explosion is never the same. Like the puffs of smoke that come from your chimney will never duplicate themselves. And to recognize that perhaps that aesthetic value they have and how they've affected you personally, because everyone's affected differently by all those things, and especially with all those rocks and orbs and things like, I in my show there's two rocks, images of these rocks that are in a construction site, and one is taken when the rock was first dug out, and it's just a hindrance to those builders because it's so big they can't remove it, and so they left it there, and they're building everything around those two rocks, and I guess eventually they'll be taken away because that construction site is still happening. So then I took a picture 6 months later of the same rock, and it's now super clean, and there's green foliage around it. And I think that I take a picture of that because to me that has transformed itself, even though it's a huge heavy rock. The land around it's transformed. It was a dirty rock, now it's a clean rock. And for us to recognize that these things, are ever changing, and we need to look at them, and so therefore I record them.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Thank you so much. You guys have given us a lot to think about tonight. that's I think something what the two of you were saying was key to these exhibitions, and I think the artwork at the library as well, that they inspire you to re-examine things and to consider transformations in the world around you, which directly leads to, I think, transformations within the viewer, hopefully. I think that's what art does on the best of days. Just a reminder, everyone, if you have any questions for our artists, drop them in the Q&A or the chat right now. So I'd also like to take a moment to thank the West Vancouver Foundation, whose generous support through their community grants program has enabled us to do a lot of this First Thursdays Art Walk programming, and they're a wonderful organization that supports a lot of great initiatives in West Vancouver. So thanks, West Vancouver Foundation, and keep up the good work.
Stephen, I had a question for Jackie. May I chime in for a moment?
Please.
I had, so I was able to see Jackie's work, and do we have a screen capture of the photographs of the clouds? that are very painterly and with lots of pinks and blues.
You know what? That's not what was given to me, but I can
No,
definitely find one.
you know what? I can explain it, and then it will tempt people's imagination, and then they'll have to go see it. I was wondering, Jackie, if I could ask you a bit about how you created those, because I have an art history degree, believe it or not. I just want to say that because I get to use it for nothing else except saying that. And it was all about Italian Renaissance painting. So when I saw your work, I found them very painterly, and they look like ancient paintings from the Renaissance. The colors, there's blues and there's yellows and there's pinks. And I was wondering, because they don't look like a photograph to me, how you did that, if you can tell us, or if it's
Well, the one I know, the one you're talking about specifically, what that's called Fort McMurray on Fire. So again, that was a screenshot from either my computer or the television. And so what I do is, so that picture did not have all those pinks in it, nor did say the LA downtown on fire have all the pinks and purples in it. So as I said, I print them on watercolor paper, and I actually either submerge them in a tray of water or spray water on them to get the ink soft. And then I add watercolor paint in them. But that one actually that you're talking about has, when I took the picture, I took them with my really cheap iPhone 8. So the actual lens is not awesome, but it gave a lens flare to the picture, if you know what that means. So bubbles of light came up. And so when they were wet, I exaggerated that. And it's so funny you talk about Italian Renaissance. That was my focus in art history, was Italian Renaissance.
so useful. It's so useful in later life. It's just
yeah, and I wanted to look really ethereal and really light and soft, and like something positive about them. So that's why the colors are all kind of joyful, soft colors. I didn't want them. There's only one called Smithers Warehouse Fire that looks really dreadful and dark, because I couldn't make that one look any happier.
I feel like, yeah.
I paint into them, and then I don't scan them. I get them professionally scanned, and they paint, and then they print them on the size of paper you see in the museum, and then I go into it with more watercolor paint to highlight the areas that I want to make look more dimensional.
Because I wouldn't have known that a watercolor technique was added. I found it, they were quite like, it looked like a little corner of like a Tintoretto or something, and then you just zoomed right in. Yes, and that's not the one I'm thinking, but it's close enough. Painterly, yet I don't even have words to describe it. I just really enjoyed it.
So if you look at this one here, the technique's very visible on this one. So if you look at the bottom right-hand corner, if you actually look close enough, you can see my brush strokes. So that, the original ink was a blue sky, and I brushed it to add all that depth. So it wasn't just a flat blue sky. And I wanted them to look really soft. As you can see, all the hard edges, the original picture I took, that was off the TV, that one. And it had hard edges to it. My camera also, as I said, doesn't have a great lens, so it softened it automatically. And then I added, you can see in the cloud, I softened a lot of the clouds up, like especially in the middle there, and there's some green added to it. And then the bottom, I've added pink, was white originally. So they almost look, I don't know, they actually could look like they're alive or something.
They look very organic, almost from the bottom of the sea, but also of the air. I love it.
That's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's great. Yeah, that was cool. We have a question here from the chat. An anonymous viewer has asked, has COVID changed your art practice? And if so, how? Yeonmi, why don't we go to you first? Has the pandemic changed how you create your work?
I think it doesn't really affected my process, because usually I work in our studio, and what I use mostly disposable garbage, which I have been collected in many years. So yes, it wasn't really affected me much.
Well, that's good to hear. Jackie, what about you?
It hasn't affected my content at all. It just gave me a lot of time to work on my art, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, like, you can't go out. So I have a little studio in my backyard, work in my studio. I also do a lot of oil painting, which is not in the exhibition. So I've had a lot of time to do that. So yeah, no, COVID really has not really affected me that much.
Yeah, awesome. That's good to hear. We've got a question for Yeonmi. Can you talk about why you have chosen to use sewing in particular as part of your artistic expression?
That's a good question. Since I moved to Canada, I started sewing on my work because I had two sewing machine, which is one industry machine, and the other one is old antique machine. So it was easy to use a sewing machine for my work, and also I didn't need the space for using sewing machine. And I love to sew any material. Like I started using fabrics, and I love to collect antique fabrics, and I make my own clothes, and it was natural for me to using a sewing machine for my work. And I found out the sewing plastic packages are so fun also. So, but sometimes it's too much focus, and it's really hard to make a mistake. If I make a mistake for sewing a plastic, it make a big hole. So yeah, it's challenging, but also it's really fun.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine how tricky that must be.
I'm so glad, Stephen, that she's finding a way to use those coffee bags.
oh yeah, it's pretty
Lovely.
amazing. You can kind of see sort of these two pieces behind me. A lot of them are coffee bags. You can see behind them the
Because
little labels and stuff.
I finished those beans, and then I have this beautiful package that I want it to be used more. And I'm like, really, I have to throw this away? So thank you. Do you need some more?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
I'll start collecting them.
Thank you.
That's excellent. Yeah. So that question was from Adine, and Adine has another question. This is for Jackie. When thinking about the transformations in this community, what kinds of things would you encourage us to observe and consider?
Okay, I had a little time to think about that question. I saw it up there. One thing, you acknowledge the land that we live on. I don't just teach art, I also teach BC First Nations Studies 12. And as I said, I taught my first 2 years in Prince Rupert. So I feel this great connection to the First Nations people locally and abroad. And I really respect their views on nature. And it's amazing because even as I get older, day by day, when I'm in nature, I look at a tree, and I actually just started this new series of photographs about, and it's photographing, documenting old, dead bramble bushes and trees and stuff. And I just actually posted one on Instagram today, and it's called Wilting Life, because I think we need to look at nature, especially here on the North Shore, West Van and North Van, that we have so much nature around us that we need to really not just respect it, but look at how it's changing. And our landscape is changing every day here on the North Shore. As you see, the properties are getting higher and higher into the mountains, and we're seeing trees cut down for new houses. And, we have all these great pathways that you can walk to. Look at those pathways and use them more often, and really enjoy them and honor them more than anything. So those transformations in our actual physical community and our civilizations, I think we need to really look at.
100%, definitely. And that's a lot about what your current work is about, Yeonmi, too. I'm sure you can see a lot of those sort of transformations out in Powell River as well.
Yes, sure.
Yeonmi, have you noticed the plastics themselves changing, or have you worked with plastics for a long period of time? Have they changed over the years, the actual physical attributes of them?
I'm sorry, I didn't get your question exactly. It means
Have you been working with plastics in your art for many years, and have you noticed them changing, like the quality or the thickness or the as just a material to work with? Does that make
good question. I don't know.
okay?
I didn't really think about that, and yeah.
Because sometimes, you know, you'll come across on a beach a piece of weathered plastic and it's kind of degrading, and then I know some of, just from that detailed image that Stephen put up, those look like considerable plastics that could be around for a long time. I was just wondering, as an artist, if you've noticed the kind of change in them.
No. But sometimes I choose some plastics that are durable with like a single plastic pack, so I cannot sew because it's too thin. So yeah, but
Yeah.
Can I just throw in something here?
Please.
So last week, the mayor, Marianne Booth, had asked the community to do a garbage pickup, cleanup, something like that with our school.
Mhm.
So, you know, each class got this little area that we need to go pick up garbage. So my area was Memorial Park, right across the street from the library. And we were given 3 garbage bags. So there went 22 students with 3 garbage bags to pick up garbage. We came back with probably maybe a 1/10 of a Safeway shopping bag filled with garbage. There was no garbage in West Van at all. In the park, on the streets, there was none. Like, it was spotless. And the only thing we picked up was cigarette butts. But it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing, because I think I'm looking at her work, Yumi's work, and you think, like, so these kids have this perception that we don't have garbage because there is no garbage on the streets. It's spotless. But you would not believe how much garbage is in our garbage cans at school, right? Like, so the perception of this great place that we live in, oh, it's so clean and there's fresh air and there's trees and, you know, everything else. But we are producing just as much garbage as any other place in this world, right? And that's something I think that we need to think about when, you know, you think of the recycling and everything else that's going on. And yeah.
Yeah. And also, I read some article, and unfortunately, Canada is the top country to produce garbage per capita with America. So I think we can do better. And we live in the most beautiful place in the world, right?
No, definitely there is.
24 tons of plastic leaked into the ocean every day.
No, those are both really important points that that both of you brought up. Definitely, there's a lot to think about, and a lot we can do. Got another question. This is from Mary Elizabeth. She asks, Yeonmi, are any of your pieces hanging pieces that can be viewed from many angles? Yeah. think most of the ones we have in the exhibition right now, they're pretty much 2D. But do you have any pieces other than the ones that are here that are more of a three-dimensional experience?
Oh, yes. From previous show, and I produce a mask by using a plastic package, same material. And the other piece was I created a forest feature with tree stump. So it was fun also to create a forest.
Oh, Stephen, you're
Sorry,
muted.
I'm muted. Sorry, I just kind of cut out a little bit. So you were saying you created kind of a forest?
Yes.
That's cool. Can folks see that on your examples of that on your website or your social media?
Oh, sure. You can see on my website and and also Instagram. I posted.
Awesome, that's great. And so, like the link in the chat that brings you to the First Thursdays page. Once you hit there, that will take you to other places where you can find the artists' websites and information about their exhibitions and all the work that they do. So I think we're just about ready to wrap that up, unless anyone has something else they want to add. Awesome, cool. I would like to again thank our amazing artists, Jackie Wong and Yeonmi Kim, for sharing their insights and inspirations and techniques into their beautiful and poignant works of art. And again, you can see their work, Yeonmi's exhibition Sewstainability at the Silk Purse Art Center until May 30th, and Jackie Wong's The Spaces Between Us at the West Vancouver Art Museum until May 15th. And be sure to check out the Teen Art Exhibition at the West Vancouver Memorial Library until June 3rd. I'd also like to thank Hilary Luton from the West Vancouver Art Museum for partnering with us on this and getting Jackie involved. That's great. And thanks to Taryn from the library for being our wonderful co-host this evening.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, and thank you to everyone who showed up tonight to watch. It's great to have your questions and to see such great support for the arts and the artists and art institutions here in West Van in our community. So again, you'll be able to check out this video probably in about a week or so on the West Van Arts Council's YouTube if you want to go back again and listen to any more of our wonderful artists' insights or see their work. And again, come on down and see it in person if you can. Awesome. So have a great night, everyone, and take care.